It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at wcbe.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Kevin Carr.
And this is It's Movie Time.
It is.
And I think Matt Damon is doing okay these days.
He's got an okay career going on.
I think so. Can you imagine that way back, Good Will Hunting? Who would have ever thought?
Well, you know, he did win an Academy Award for that movie.
I know he did. But we've got a new one called Stillwater.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether that indicates what the movie is like.
Well, you should have at least a little bit of thought on it because you did see it.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. And it does plot a bit.
I said to somebody today, I said I have a film review friend who I think would love it because it's as I described it, a talky French movie. Even though it's an American movie,
yeah.
It's or maybe it's British, but it takes place in France, and there's a lot of character development through dialogue in the French scenes.
Yes. Basically, it's taking off on an incident that occurred back probably more than a decade ago, I would think.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. It's about a guy who he's from Oklahoma, and he's just sort of this roughneck who works on an oil rig, and his daughter is imprisoned in France for murder, and he's there trying to support her. But then when he goes to Marseille to visit her, he decides to do his own little detecting.
Yes.
And to try to exonerate her. And that's what the story is about, based on a true story, loosely based on it.
Amanda Knox.
Yeah, it's the Amanda Knox story, which has been heavily covered in the news and on the radio, and there are several documentaries about it. So, I mean, I'd say it's very loosely, because, Amanda Knox was in Italy, and this is in France. And they take a lot of liberties with the stories. It's not the Amanda Knox story.
Yeah. And we have an acclaimed director, Tom McCarthy. Mm-hmm. I certainly loved his Spotlight.
Sure, yeah, that was a fantastic movie. I mean, he's a brilliant director. You had mentioned the film's long. I do think it runs long. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Right.
And it does tend to drag because it's trying to do multiple things. It's trying to tell this story about his relationship with his daughter. At the same time, it's trying to tell the story of him trying to exonerate her and doing his own little detective work and working that in with what the French do and the French government and police. But also at the same time, it deals with him and sort of this surrogate family that he plugs into, this woman and her daughter, and where he ends up staying with during the time he's in France. And their relationship. So it's got several plates spinning, and at times some of the other plates are wobbling quite a bit.
No, you're right on. I opened up my review by saying it was two movies.
Yeah.
And I think the one with the family, strangely enough, what I usually think is too sappy, actually works for me maybe better than the thriller aspect.
I think that's the better story.
Yeah.
And that's where I say it really feels like a French movie. It feels like, the unlikely friendship, and they work together, and there's maybe a little bit of a romance, and him having this surrogate daughter with her daughter, who's the girl who plays the youngest daughter. She's a
Maya.
Yeah.
What a doll.
And the story, and that's the problem, is the story, which is about his daughter, Abigail Breslin plays her. It really does get sidelined, and at a certain point,
I know it does.
we don't see that story for about 20 or 30 minutes.
I know we do. I know. And then they pile up the action stuff at the end.
Yeah, and that's why you're right, being two movies, but it feels like, weirdly enough, it's an American movie trying to be a French movie, but in that sense, it feels like it's a French movie trying to be an American movie. And not getting its foot solidly in either side, because I think the types of movies they're trying to tell are at odds with each other in a lot of ways.
Okay, well, and of course they're kind of in a facile way combining the two in the sense that the family situation he had with Abigail Breslin was not a good one.
No, and there's those lingering senses of regret and resentment, but it also and they don't this is there to sort of pick, but you don't. It's not really driven home. But the fact that it's much easier to bond with a young child,
Yes.
Before puberty than after puberty. That's just how parenting works.
Or if he's, and even in his subconscious, considering how he blew it with his daughter, that now this new family gives him a second chance. They don't. You're right. They don't hit you over the head with it, but you've got to make the parallel.
Yeah. They don't even throw it at your head. It's just sort of there. You kind of have to bump into it.
Yeah, and I thought Camille Cotton is her name, is his girlfriend, Virginie, was very fine.
Yeah,
I've seen her before.
That's the thing. It's a well-made movie, except for the pacing and I guess the chemistry of the script.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't like about it, I get a little bit annoyed with this, is when the characters, when they try to present Middle America, and the Middle America they present is the most reductive middle. He's wearing blue jeans and a ball cap, and he talks. He's
Yes,
just like, yes, ma'am, yes, no, let's pray before dinner every single time. And you're just like, oh my God, could you lay on more stereotypes of somebody coming from the Midwest?
I thought they probably restrained themselves a little bit with it. I didn't think he went over the top, but he was as a good old boy.
I don't think Matt Damon did.
Right.
I thought he handled it well.
Me too.
But
still,
the stuff he was given.
Yes, right. Yeah. So, and in fact, I think he was less than an ugly American, which he could have been.
Yeah. Well, there was, but that would have been another aspect of the story that they would have had to take an extra half hour to work.
And it allowed some comedic elements.
Sure.
Because he was blowing it, because he didn't understand the culture.
Yeah.
And I love it that he's falling in love with a lady who's an actress. He knows nothing about theater.
Oh yeah. Well, then you got to watch French theater and you don't speak the language. So.
Right. So the poor guy.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there, but like you said, where the thriller aspect, the story of the daughter in prison. When I knew it was based on a true story, I didn't know it was the Amanda Knox story. I just knew it was based on a true story.
Right.
And then when I went and saw it, I was like, okay, this movie, it seems a little trite. These little twists and turns and things that happen along the way. I'm like, this just seems, but I'll forgive it if it's based on a true story. And then I looked it up. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is Amanda Knox. They just made that stuff up. So it's not good writing at that point. You're not trying to stay true to a true story. You just put bad writing into the movie.
And I thought too, Kev, that what should have been very important was his relationship with his daughter. Let me get her name. With Allison, right? His relationship with Allison was not fully developed at all.
No.
I mean, we have segments in the prison, but we don't get any depth, I thought, in it, other than she's just angry at him.
There's a sliver of the movie, this tiny slice of the pie where she's given a furlough where she can go out, and you get a certain characterization from her. But even then, it's pretty surface. It's not.
It is. She and little Maya bond immediately. But get out of here! What is this? right away, and they within a few hours they're buds, and so that was a little bit unbelievable, and kind of quickened the story to an extent where you're going, geez, what does that just happen? I mean, he's got a whole new family here.
Yeah.
I also thought, all right, first of all, Kevin, I have to ask you this. I must have fallen asleep.
Okay.
Because
I've been known to do that in movies, yes.
The Stillwater.
Yeah. They did not explain that well.
Okay.
There's the I would call it a big reveal is not explained well.
That is not. Thank you, please, because I said, what the heck did I miss?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out, and we won't figure it out for people who haven't seen it, but it does answer some questions.
Yeah.
If you can figure out the
and that's where I'm just like, ugh, I that was one of those moments where I'm like, come on, that seems a little too contrived.
Yeah. I thought the setting of Marseille was terrific.
Sure.
Great choice. McCarthy picked it just to get some kind of a European setting that was different, and considering that appears, I think, even in Casablanca, they talk about Marseille. And
well, it's nice to see a French movie that's not just all about Paris.
It is, and they have the Eiffel Tower there. And but Kevin, why would anybody want to see this movie? Because we've got, if you want to see a blue collar worker, you can go see Joe Bell.
Yeah.
With with Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, yeah,
right.
Which was okay.
Right. Again, okay. Again, I think a bit restrained on the good old boy stuff.
But I think I followed the based on the true story a little closer because that's how they really.
Yes. Right. Yeah. But here, now, one of the things is that you and I saw it at a screening where we had an almost full auditorium.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if you go to the theater these days, you could be there by yourself.
Well, yeah, that was because it was free.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people come out for free stuff.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, and it is also I think the people are going to like that. This does swerve way closer into the art house genre, so to speak.
Yes.
And that's why I say it feels like a French film. I'm not surprised it got a standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, I'm not. That doesn't surprise me. Because it really is this American movie striving to be that. But I think, now if you've never seen a French film, maybe you can go check this one out, and it's a nice foray into that culture.
All right, so Kevin Carr. The film is Stillwater.
Yeah.
What do you recommend to our audience?
Well, should I recommend seeing it, or do you want?
However.
I'm going to give it I'm going to give it a C.
Okay, all right.
Not a huge fan of this one.
Okay, right, yeah, and I would give it about a C plus too. Not that we're